We're going to go live. So I'm going to click on this. Okay.
Are you live?
So you might want to make a quick announcement to anyone.
So we are live right now and we are waiting. We will get started at 9:30 with our first presentation if anyone's here. Hi, RJ. Can you hear us?
Hey, Sally, can you hear me?
Yeah, mine's turned up.
Hello?
RJ, are you there? Oh, there he is. I can't hear. Oh, you're muted. Can you unmute? I just want to make sure we can hear you.
Yeah, I don't think it's, give me 1 second here.
Oh, we can hear you now.
You can hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
We're going to go live in 5 minutes.
Okay.
I just want to say good morning and thank you.
Hey, Sally, are you going to be doing, will we be seeing all the participants or no?
We will not. So we are currently live streaming to YouTube where the participants are accessing the session. So
Okay.
the session is going to be you and Bridget Thomas, who's the counselor here at Ackerman, talking and you presenting, and then the students will be viewing from their classrooms or from their homes.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. All right. Do you need me, RJ, to read the questions or did you just want to talk? What's easier for you?
I can do either way, whatever. I don't, if you do an introduction, I can, I can talk or you can fire off some questions, whichever.
Okay. I can do the questions, but your volume just dropped again. So I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Can't hear me?
So weird.
Is the volume still bad?
Yeah, it's still pretty low.
How is that? Is the volume any better?
Nope, not the same.
How about that?
Nope, the same. Sorry, I got mine all the way up, so I can make sure I hear you.
It might be better if I just plug this in.
Okay. Take yours and like go out, make sure you can hear it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
How are we doing there? Is that better?
Oh, much better, much better. We
Okay.
can hear you now. Okay. It was
Okay,
weird
good.
because all of a sudden it just dropped.
I don't know why it does that. My webcam, if it goes through my webcam speaker, it's really bad. So they get me this little speaker here. Sometimes it doesn't work. I don't know.
No worries, that's
So
okay.
I wear this.
We will work through all our little glitches today. So
Yep.
we got about 3 minutes left and then we will go ahead and get started and I will get us going. So
Okay.
thanks.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Hello, my name is Bridget Thomas, and I am the school counselor at Ackerman. And today is Career Day, and we would like to welcome both Ackerman and Litzsinger to our Career Day today. We're excited for you to be here. I want to take a moment to thank Mrs. Sally Defani, our SSD Administrator of Partnership, and Mrs. Verkeithia Jones, who is an intern this year at Ackerman, and they have been instrumental in putting together our Career Day. I appreciate both of them tremendously. We are going to have 6 wonderful presenters who will share their careers with us today. Each presenter will have about 15 minutes and to talk, and during that time, we'll be able to ask some additional questions. I'll ask the questions to the presenters for us, and then we'll move through. So thank you for being here today with us, and we hope you have a really great time. Our first presenter today is RJ Catazan. He is the outreach specialist for St. Louis Carpenters Apprenticeship Program. He started his career as a carpenter and now gets the opportunity to work with carpenters. So welcome, RJ. We are so happy to have you here today.
Thank you, Mrs. Thomas. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So I've got some questions for you as we kind of go through. First one is, how long have you been in this position or this industry doing this work?
I've been a union carpenter working in this position for the past 18 years. I started shortly out of high school. I was about 19, working in the field, building residential homes in the St. Louis metro area. I actually attended the apprenticeship program that I work at now, and it's developed into this. So it's been a good 18 years.
Nice, thank you. And what's a typical workday like for you?
Yeah. So we typically work in the carpentry industry and the construction industry as a whole, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. That's the typical hours. And that work day is going to consist of working within the crew in the job site that you're at, whether that be at a subdivision building homes, or a restaurant or a retail store, heavy highway bridge work, hospitals, office spaces, anything that has to do with infrastructure in the St. Louis metro area. That's what our work day looks like. So in a sense, what I like to say is we walk out onto the ground and we make that 3D image come to life from that piece of paper.
Oh, that's a very good way to describe it. So you gave us a lot of good places that you carpenters are working and building right around our communities. Can you give us a little more detail on like what do carpenters do? What kind of jobs are there for carpenters?
Yeah. So the way that the apprenticeship program works is it allows anybody to be able to come in and learn various different aspects of that trade. So the biggest things that we do in the St. Louis metro area is we're residential home builders. So that's pouring the foundations for the homes that you live in the subdivisions that are being built, pouring the concrete for the driveways, for the roads, building the house actually on top of that foundation and working your way all the way up to the roof. And if you're not working in the residential industry here in the St. Louis metro area, you're going to be building on the commercial side of things. So commercial has everything to do with entities that are bringing in revenue, right? So restaurants, retail stores. I worked for a general contractor out of St. Charles County that built almost all of the Qdobas, Max and Irmas, Panda Expresses, and the Kohl's stores throughout 6 states. So I traveled a lot throughout that time working in various different retail industries. But we do a lot of hospital work, a lot of heavy highway bridge work, metal studs, drywall, acoustical ceilings, anything that you kind of walk into, carpenters and construction workers have a hand in that.
Wow, thank you. And what led you? You kind of talked a little bit about what led you to your current career. Can you give us a little more information?
Yeah. Well, I really just enjoyed being outside, but I liked building stuff with my hands. I like being able to look back at the end of the day and see what I helped to produce. I tell my kids, my actual kids all the time, you drive around and you're proud to say that I built that or I worked on that or various different things. They would swear that I built all of St. Louis by myself, but I didn't. But what led me to that was an opportunity for a good paying career And I was also starting my family, so I needed to look for opportunities for benefits, which is something that a lot of younger people don't realize is valuable. But you do whenever you get a little bit older. So those were big driving forces for me. And then I just enjoyed um, being able to work with my hands and construct and build stuff and look back and be proud of it.
Okay, great. So what are some of the things that you like best about your job or least about your job?
Well, right now, the least, oh man, yeah. um, it's the things that I love the most right now about my job. Okay. So whenever I was out in the field, being proud of what you did, being able to, speak to different things that you had your hand in working. I really like building homes for families that would last a lifetime. It's pretty cool to think about that you're building an opportunity for families to have memories, to have parties, to raise kids, to do various different things. And you get a hand in being able to contribute to that for that homeowner, for that family. Now, as I work in the apprenticeship program, it's funny how things shift and they change. So I work with young people or anybody trying to get into the construction industry. So what I get to see is day one, that apprentice not knowing very much about the industry, but proving themselves to be reliable, working hard, having a good attitude. And I get to watch that progression. And there really is something to say that is satisfying to see someone develop, especially young people that might not know what we do, but step into it and learn a little bit. And then 4 years down the road, when the apprenticeship program is done for them, being able to see all the knowledge that they've, obtained at that moment is pretty satisfying.
Nice, thank you. What types of interest, abilities, and skills would help a person be successful in this occupation?
So things that are valuable uh, is a desire to be able to see what is to come by working through kind of the bits and pieces now. Sometimes it's hard to envision what the next week is going to look like on that project, but if you can foresee that and you can kind of have that critical thinking, that meticulous eye to be able to catch possible mistakes ahead of time, that's very helpful. But then also just I think you have to have, just good hand-eye coordination to be able to work with the tools that we work with. And to be able to, again, like kind of see that image on paper and watch it develop into, real life. I think another thing that's really, really valuable in our industry is having a team mentality, having a good attitude and being able to work well with people. Everything is based on teamwork and crews in our industry. So you're always paired up with somebody and you got to learn to work well with each other to make sure that you produce the outcome at the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the year. So those are really valuable things. Math skills, basic math skills are very valuable. We do a lot with tape measures, a lot of adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing fractions and decimals. But don't let that scare you away because we will help you along the way. A lot of the times it's just the repetition of doing that. So if you're not very good at math to begin with, don't worry, we will help get you there.
Right. So you talked a lot about those math skills and how important they are. How about reading and writing skills? Is that something that's important for your field?
Yeah, so I would say, the reading for sure, because there's a lot of documents that you have to interpret to make sure that the project is going the way that it needs to go. Writing skills are definitely valuable as well, because often what you have to do is be able to communicate what you're thinking, what you're seeing, what you're wanting done somehow to another person, right? And in a lot of times nowadays, especially with communication and technology, you might not be right next to that person verbally being able to communicate. You have to be able to communicate by emails or text messages or Teams or Google, or, there's all kinds of things that you've got to correspond back and forth with other entities, whether that be the customers that you're working with or the architects and the engineers, being able to relay that. But I think, yeah, I think reading is probably higher on that spectrum rather than the writing, although writing is really valuable as well.
Thank you. What type of education, training, experience are necessary for this type of work?
Yeah. So, like we had touched base, anything that you can do in regards to math that is focused towards geometry is very valuable. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, Pythagorean theorem. We use it all the time. And you see it all the time. If you look at a roof, if you walk up a set of stairs, you're seeing those triangles everywhere. So it's just learning to be able to see them a different way, a very practical, tangible way. We work with those percentages. And I guess the technical knowledge, that's where the apprenticeship program comes into play. So we don't really need um, a candidate or a person that's wanting to get into the carpentry industry to have a whole lot of technical knowledge. Any kind of technical knowledge or skills that they have is great. But what the apprenticeship program is there for is to be able to teach them that. The things that I always tell people coming into our industry, especially young people. So if you're watching, make sure that you are reliable, you're hardworking, and you have that good attitude, being able to work well with others. If you can do those three things and have those as part of your intrinsic characteristic of who you are, we will take care of the training. We'll take care of the education, because the apprenticeship program is designed to do that for you. And it doesn't cost you anything to be a part of that apprenticeship program. So you're getting all of your training and education at no cost to you while you're working for your contractors and learning a valuable skill.
And so you've taught us today that an apprentice is someone who is learning that skill. Is that something in your field that is a paid position? Is it something that students would earn money while they're learning the skill?
Yeah, absolutely. So our apprentices start off, if you're working residential home building, you're going to start off at it's actually $16 an hour now. May 1st, it'll be 16. So $16 an hour. Um, and you'll get $1.50 pay raise every 6 months as you go through the apprenticeship program. So while you're working with your contractor, you're going to be earning money while you're learning. So you get your post-secondary education and opportunities for college credits in the apprenticeship program while you're getting paid working out there with your contractor, learning the skills. So it's a earn money while you learn kind of mentality with the apprenticeship program. That's really good for a lot of people who might not be geared towards that 2-year, 4-year college right out off the bat.
It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Last question. Is there anything younger students can start doing now if they're interested?
What I would recommend is to look for opportunities to get into your CTE programs that are associated with your comprehensive school that you're going to be going to. So as you get into high school, you can look for career and technical education programs that's connected with your school. And I would sign up for that. So at South Tech and North Tech are great schools that I work with, very closely. They have carpentry programs there. We work with those carpentry students very closely to get them the skills ahead of time before they graduate. And our contractors love grabbing those kids right out of high school and rolling them right into the apprenticeship program, working day one with them. So I would recommend that if you're really interested in this, look for those opportunities to take any kind of career and technical education classes with your school, or also just woodshop classes if you have those at your high school. Any kind of hands-on experience with tools, material, building is definitely valuable that you can start doing now.
Wonderful. Well, that is such great information that you shared with us today. We really appreciate you being here, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, RJ. Bye-bye. All right, everyone, we will have our next presenter here in about 6 minutes. So we'll just take a quick break, and then we'll be back in just a little bit with our next presenter, who is in the culinary arts. Oh, no. Hi, Miss Manis. Oh, I think we can hear you now.
Morning. They're doing dismissal at the moment, so I started 9:50, correct?
Yes, so I just wanted to let you in and test our audio real quick, and so we're good for a few minutes.
All right, and then do I have the capability of a screen share?
Hold on, I think you should be able to. I'll make you co-host and, okay, so check that now and you should be able to share your screen.
Okay, let's see. Go back. Share screen. Yep, it's giving me the option. So
Okay, so it sounds like you are prepared and ready to go then. Do you need me to ask any questions or do you feel like you've got this?
at the end, if you need to extend time, so I don't
Okay.
want to lecture too much. So
That sounds wonderful. So in about 2 minutes, we'll jump back on and I'll introduce you.
okay,
All
sounds
right,
good.
thank you.
Uh-huh.
Again, Marquette, Lafayette, Parkway, North, and South. This is for Oakville, Oakville.
Oh, I totally forgot. Yeah.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We had a little bit of a change in our presenter for this time slot. We had Jawan Rice, who was going to be here, but unfortunately was unable to make it. So we have the next best person. We have Miss Manis, who was the one that taught Jawan. So welcome, Miss Manis. We're very excited to have you here today. And I'll go ahead and give you the floor.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. So Chef Juan couldn't make it. He is doing a competition with the Food Network, and he's competing on Guy's Grocery Games. So hopefully we'll be able to view his episode here shortly. But Joanne was a student here and did a great job for us. So I was asked to kind of talk about what it is that I do in a career as a chef, but I kind of give you a broad overview, kind of what the hospitality industry is all about. So just because being a chef is involved in the hospitality industry. So what kind of job titles do you see in the hospitality industry? It's quite broad. So the industry includes jobs that work in hotels, restaurants, casinos, theme parks, cruise lines, and other facilities that help customers meet their leisure and recreational needs. So many of our jobs in the industry involve dealing with customers face-to-face in a variety of ways, but there are also behind-the-scene jobs that include positions like sales, marketing, accounting. Food service jobs are also abound in our industry, which is kind of what I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about today. And those include like your wait staff and food preparation jobs. So, and it's important to note that this industry is not just one of the world's biggest industries, it's also one of the most dynamic, exciting, and fast growing. So with every new development in technology or guest experience, even more diverse and specialized job opportunities open up for us. So just some of the wonderful things that Jawan can create here. So he's very talented. So some of the jobs, like I said, we talked about just kind of being a chef, working in a restaurant, working with your hands. So these students here are busy doing some preparation. So the cool thing about what it is that chefs do, if you think about just kind of the industry in general, and as far as culinary goes, is everybody has to eat. So I know that during COVID, a lot of people were kind of losing their jobs or being kind of laid off temporarily. You still have places like schools that needs cooks and chefs to work in the schools because everybody eats. It's something you have to do every day. Hospitals, the same way. People have to eat when they're in the hospital. So a lot of the hospitals and assisted living facilities employ a lot of different chefs and cooks and people that work in and around the food. And of course, the cool thing about what it is that we do is that most of the time it's non-COVID related. Everybody wants to go out and celebrate birthdays, parties, special occasions. So people are more likely to come out and dine with you and or purchase from you for a celebration or a party. So lots of jobs, lots of things happening, lots of different areas where you could find your niche and find something to specialize in, which is pretty cool. Some of the job titles in the hospitality industry, kind of like I was saying, just kind of what we're focusing on here is the food operations. So executive chef, the one that's in charge of the kitchen, kind of oversees everything. You can be a cook, you can be a beverage manager, you can be an owner, you can help with the sales and marketing. So having a background in food is going to be beneficial for you. You can help in the front of the house. You can work with the guests and the customers doing service related items. So a little bit more in depth about some of the really cool positions that are in the hospitality field include, this is a food scientist. So they're going in and breaking down the food and looking at kind of the molecular structure, all of the nutrition in the food and how it all works and how it reacts when heat is applied to it and the different chemical reactions that are taking place. Another really cool position in our industry is a food photographer. So these people need to have a background in culinary just so that they know what the food should look like, how it's going to be best presented, and then obviously have a little bit of photography knowledge as well so they can make it look presentable. So if you think about all the pictures you see and all the magazine articles, all the commercials and different things like that, those are people that specialize in food photography to help make it look nice. So if you think about what the McDonald's hamburger looks like in the pictures versus the one that you get in person and how different it is, they are really good at making stuff look good. So, and that's just kind of another picture of food photography. So see how much work and intricate detail that goes into it. Another position that a lot of students like, and a lot of my students have a lot of interest in, is baking and pastry. So on the more sweet side of things, they like the sweeter things in life. So they like to create all sorts of goodies and cakes, confectionaries. So you'll see that both chefs here, they're making multiple items of the same thing or multiple of the same thing. So it's a little bit more tedious, it's a little bit more labor intensive. Gotta like working with your hands. Of course, we talked a little bit about that executive chef running the restaurant, and then the different levels of chefs that work underneath the chefs. So some of the things that you look for, sorry about that, my bells, the students are letting out. Some of the things that you'll want to kind of take in or keep in consideration to be successful in the industry is you want to make sure you have good communication skills because you'll be talking and communicating a lot with the people that you're working with and with the customers and guests that you are serving. Have a lot of teamwork skills. There's not many restaurants that I can think of that just people work by themselves. So there's going to be lots of people coming and going, lots of work to be done. You got to like helping others. So helping the people that you work with finish their jobs, and then helping your guests enjoy their food by making it wonderful for them. You're very busy in the culinary industry, lots of time on your feet, lots of things to do. So if you like kind of being active and being up and moving, that's going to be a good thing for you. And then a good work ethic. So making sure that you take pride in your work and enjoy what you're doing, because it can be, like I said, a busy, stressful position for you. The cool thing about our industry is there's so many opportunities. You can work your way up easily and quickly. If you have that work ethic, you like to stay busy, you like helping others, have good teamwork and communication skills, you'll be able to move up pretty quickly and do very well in the industry. So I've worked with a lot of people when I was worked full time in the industry that moved up from a line cook position all the way up to being a district manager somewhere making a lot of money. So lots of cool things in the industry. So thinking about how you get your start. So how do you prepare for a career in the culinary arts? So you could look at culinary arts programs that are offered. So we offer one here at South Tech that's pretty cool. You could take some cooking classes. I know some of you are getting ready to select some middle school classes. So maybe select your family consumer science classes at your middle school. Take some classes at Dearborg's maybe. Look at that internet or TV courses and see what they offer. So watch a lot of those cooking shows and see if that excites you and what they're doing is interesting. You can, of course, do some home study. So make some entrees and some goodies for your family. You could get a job in the industry when the time comes to get a job. And then, of course, attend a culinary arts college and get some more training there as well. Let's see here. So one of those things, it's just a bake sale. So again, a lot of my students start out by doing something out of their house and having bake sales or having their own little bakery shop. Like I said, Chef Juan was supposed to be with you today, and he's in California currently. He started out by doing bake sales and selling stuff out of his house. And it's turned into a wonderful career for him by doing so. But the last thing you got to really kind of like to do in this industry is you got to like to eat. So you got to like to taste food, if nothing else. So you got to kind of taste to make sure your seasonings and everything is correct. But it also, you will eat quite a bit. So enjoy it and get to taste all of the wonderful creations. So if you have any questions for me, I'll continue to talk kind of what a typical day looks like for a chef. Mm-hmm. So most of the chefs, if you're a baker, you work early in the morning. If you're a chef, you generally get in mid-morning and you work later into the evening. So you get in, you receive all of your items for the day, put them away, and then you get started on doing your prep and getting things made so that when it's time for service, you can execute properly and get the either lunch or dinner out in a timely fashion. So one of the things that I always tell my students is that nobody wants to wait for lunch for 2 hours. So you got to be able to get everything ready so that you can get the lunch out in about 12 minutes once they order it. So there's so many different things that I did not touch on as far as careers that can be found in this industry. So do yourself a favor, if you like or are interested in it, feel free to Google, look up on the internet. You can contact me, of course. But if you're into a little bit more specialized baking, you want to work more with ice cream, or you want to work more with chocolates, there's people that is their specific job. If you like fish, I've got a student that's getting ready to go off and he's going to be a butcher. So there's so many different things that you can do and so many things you can be and specialize in, that it's a really great industry if you like being up and moving and working. I don't know if I've answered.
Sorry.
Oh, God.
Ms. Manis, a couple of questions.
Yes.
What led you to this career? What kind of came up for you that led you here?
So when I was young, my mom and I took some of those Wilton cake decorating classes, and I just started to really take an interest in it. And it's something that, like, being a child with multiple siblings, it was kind of like a special bonding time with my mom, and so I enjoyed doing that. And then it kind of just turned out that I was kind of good at it. So I was like, well, hey, if I'm good at it, might as well see what I can do. I took some classes, all the classes I could in high school. I went to tech school as a student. I went to culinary school in college. Then I went straight to the industry and have been working at different restaurants and doing different jobs. And then I, of course, took the position here at South Tech when it became available, just so I could continue working with food, but also work with the students and help them grow and kind of find their passion and their niche in life, what they want to work with.
Well, you sound like an amazing teacher. Those students are very lucky, very lucky. One more question. How do you use math, reading, and writing in your job?
That's a good question. So math, reading, writing. So we obviously all of the recipes that you're gonna be working with, you're gonna have to read through them and be able to understand them. The math that we do, we take the recipes and instead of making it for 4 people, we'll make it for 150. Or we'll take a recipe that works for 75 and we'll bring it back down and take it to where it only makes 4. So you don't want to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. So if you have a recipe that you're doubling, and instead of measuring out 16 tablespoons, you could just measure a cup and be done. So it's a lot faster. So we're going to show you kind of what we call kitchen friendly math, to where it all makes sense. So the math that we do in our program, it's kind of unlike the math that you have at your regular school, is that I make it all about what we're doing currently in the kitchen. So I know as when you're younger like that, they don't get a chance to kind of make it a little more relevant, but you'll see the reason why fractions, decimals, being able to add and subtract and divide, it's all important so that these recipes turn out correctly. Because it's a shame when you put all this work and effort into making a recipe and then it doesn't turn out correctly because you did the math wrong and you put in either too much or too little of an ingredient, so that it messes it up completely. So, and I don't know if you've ever had someone that's put in like 3 times the amount of baking powder, but it does not taste good when you have to try it. So
you have to be very careful on your math and what you're putting in and what you're doing. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to end with one last question. What is your favorite part of your job?
The favorite part of my job currently, I mean, it's kind of more of a teacher answer though. It's watching the kids grow and be successful. Like, I'm really excited for Juwan. I really like just having them come back and sharing what they're doing, and knowing that I was helpful in getting them to where they wanted to go. So as far as the industry in general, I love making people happy. And so food is my love language, essentially. And I show you I care and I appreciate you with food. And so I take food wherever I go, my doctor's office, my vet office, to my friends and family. They all get food. And that's how, kind of, like I said, I show that I care for them and I care about them. And I like making people happy. And seeing the smiles on their face and knowing that they enjoy what I've made.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you being here today and sharing the information about your career. It's been very valuable.
Yes,
thank
definitely.
you so much, Ms. Annis.
You're welcome. Yep. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you. All right, everyone. So we'll go ahead and take our 5-minute break so we can get our next presenter in and ready, and we will start at 10:10. There now. There we go. Hi, Amy. How are you? Oh, you're muted.
There we go.
There you go. Now we can hear you. So we're live streaming right now. So what we're going to do is, would you like me to ask you the questions, or do you want to just talk for your time?
What's working better for the other speakers?
We've done a little bit of mix, so I can do the questions if you want, and then you just add stuff as you go.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I typed them all out, so I have little.
So prepared.
Well, sometimes I don't want to just ramble if I get nervous. So,
I,
but they're just kids.
I understand 100%. Well, if you have them typed out, then go ahead and go, and then I'll add any at the end that maybe additional little ones if there's anything. So
Okay. Yeah, sounds great.
wonderful. So the students will get everybody in about 3 minutes. We'll just start, and so you're just projecting to the students on the YouTube channel that we have. So we'll have everything, and we'll just have a conversation. You just share, and then I'll ask a couple questions here and there. So.
Okay. Do they get to ask me questions at the end?
Unfortunately, we're doing just us asking questions. And so we've got the questions and then I'll ask you. And so they're all sitting in their classrooms and watching right now and watching along. So that's where we're at.
Sounds great. Thank you. No, I just brought my stethoscope home for official.
Oh, that's perfect. I love it. I love it. Okay, well, we'll get on in about 3 minutes. So, the cat too. See, they'll love that.
I know. They're always on us. Well, and we're getting carpet installed today, so I'm hoping they're not banging a ton while I'm speaking.
Oh, that's okay. Our last one was at a school, and she had like the what am I thinking? The sounds going off. I can't even think of the.
Oh, like the bells or the fire alarm?
The bells. Thank you. I couldn't even think of the word today. The bells going off. So don't worry. Everyone's just rolling with it today.
Sounds great. Yes.
No worries. Okay. We'll be back in just 2 minutes. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Bridget.
Thanks, Amy.
Sure.
$1,000? Oh, no. Okay, let's go.
All right, time flies and we are back again. Hello, everyone. We have nurse Amy Hansen, and she works at Children's Hospital. And so she is here today to talk to us about her career. Welcome, Amy. We're so happy to have you today.
Hi, guys. I'm so happy to be here.
Great. So would you mind giving us some information about your job?
Sure. So like she said, I'm a nurse at St. Louis Children's Hospital, which is a pediatric hospital here in St. Louis. I've been a nurse for 16 years, which is longer than most of you guys have been alive. I work nighttime. I work night shift. So while you guys are sleeping, I'm awake, taking care of the babies and the teenagers and everybody that's your age that's sick at the hospital. So my job is I'm on a surgery floor. So anyone who's had surgery, whether it's been a broken bone or they had their tonsils out or other bigger surgeries, I take care of them, and then trauma patients as well. So if they're in a car accident or anything like that, I take care of those patients. And the hospital doesn't close. So there has to be somebody there at night to take care of those patients too. So that is me. I'm taking care of the patients at night. So on a day-to-day basis, how I start my day is I talk to the day shift nurse. So the nurse that took care of them during the day. And we talk about the patients and talk about what's going on with them and how they're doing. And then it's my turn to take care of the patients. So I go in and I meet the families and I meet the patient and I do what's called an assessment. So I listen to their heart and their lungs, and the patients that have had surgery, I look at their surgery spot, where their bandages are, where their Band-Aids are. And I look at that to make sure that's okay. I also give them medicines. Sometimes if you've had surgery, you could be in pain or you have an infection, like an ear infection or an infection of your owie, like your spot where you had surgery. So I have to give them medicines for that, or any other medicines the doctor works with or that doctor orders for them. I work with doctors all the time. Another things I do is I help the patients move in bed. So if they've had surgery and their tummy hurts, I turn them from side to side so they don't get a sore spot on their back, or I help them walk. Sometimes they have to use crutches or they need help pushing their IV pole. So I give them medicines and I help them move. I also do lots of teaching, lots of education, kind of like your teachers do. So if a patient breaks their arm, they fall off the monkey bars and they break their arm, they get a cast by the doctors. The doctors put a cast on, and I teach the parents how to take care of that cast, because that cast can't get wet and they have to put it in a sling. So I teach the parents and the families and the patient all about how to take care of their cast at home. And then the other thing, there's not just me as a nurse, there's lots of nurses at the hospital. And so I help those other nurses out with their patients as well. So we all work together as a team. Let's talk a little bit about how to, what it takes to be a nurse. I went to school for 4 years at college. I went to Mizzou, if you guys know Mizzou. I went to school for 4 years and I took lots of classes that helped me be a nurse. So some of the classes are a class called anatomy, and that's to learn about all the parts of the body, like your bones and your muscles and the insides of your bodies, your organs. I took a class on medicines, so I know what kind of medicines I'm giving my patients. So all kinds of classes. And then when you become a nurse, you work with a nurse that's been there for a while and they train you. So you get on the job training too. So you get to learn lots of stuff from that. Things I think are good if you wanted to be a nurse. I think the things you should be are a nice, caring person. You should want to help people, because that's what nurses do. They help people every day. You should also kind of be a very organized person, because we have to keep track of a lot of stuff. Sometimes I take care of 4 patients at the same time. So I have to keep track of all their medicines, all the things the doctor's orders them to do. I have to keep track of. We have a piece of paper and I call it my brain. That's where I keep all my information. I call it my brain and I write everything down. The part of my job that is what you have to really make sure you can handle if you're going to be a nurse is kind of the gory, gooey stuff like blood and throw up and stuff like that. So if you can't handle that, you probably won't want to be a nurse, but it is such a good job. I love my job so much. I love to help people. And I went into pediatrics, which is taking care of kids, because I love to help kids. I don't want to see them in pain, but I know that I can help them by giving them medicine and help them be comfortable in bed and things like that. So I love my job as a nurse.
Thank you. I've got a few questions for you. Can you tell us other ways you can be a nurse, like what a CNA and an LPN, kind of talk to us a little bit about those differences?
Yeah, of course.
Great.
So I went to school for 4 years. So that's the highest level of nurse you can be. There's also other types. So a CNA is you go to school for a shorter amount of time, usually 1 or 2 years, and you can do on-the-job training, and you get to help the nurses out. You can work in nursing homes, you can work in the hospital. So that's a assistant, a nurse assistant. So you help those nurses. And then there's an LPN, which you go to school for shorter, about 1 or 2 years. And they do almost the same thing as a nurse. There's a couple things they can't do, but LPNs it's a really good job. They're very helpful to the nurses, and they get to work on their own too, just like nurses. And so that's about 1 to 2 years out of college. You can do these at community colleges. You can do these at special schools just for those nurses. And then you can even go on, if you really like your nursing job, you can go on to school some more and you can get your master's. So there's lots of things you can do as a nurse and a LPN. There's all kinds of things.
Lots of opportunities, it sounds like. So
Yes.
what about, how do you use math, reading, and writing in your job?
Math I use every single day. So we have to give I've been talking a lot about medicines we have to give these patients. I don't want to give too much medicine, and I don't want to give too little. I want to give exactly the right amount. So I use my math every day to make sure that I give the right amount of medicine to my patients. And reading, I have to be able to, if I don't know, like a really interesting diagnosis or something that's wrong with the patient that's really unique and interesting, I get to go either on the computer or I look in the textbooks and I find out about that so I can know how to best take care of this patient. And then writing, we do a lot of stuff on the computer right now. So I do a lot of typing I have to keep track of everything that I do for these patients. So I document it in the computer, and then I also write notes to the doctors to say, this is what I did today.
Very nice. And is there anything that younger students can start doing now if they're interested in becoming a nurse or getting into the medical field?
Yeah, so there's lots of things you can do to volunteer up at the hospital. When you're in high school, there's volunteers that can do a lot of things at the hospital. They can bring toys up to the patients, because when you're in the hospital and sick, you still need toys, right, to play with and make you feel better. So those volunteers bring toys and books, and they're in high school. And so they get to help out a lot. There's a playroom at the hospital, and those volunteers at the hospital, those high schoolers, will play with the patients in the hospital. They'll get to go to that playroom. When you're younger, like in elementary school or middle school, you can write notes and letters to the patients at the hospitals, and that will make them feel better. And that just helps you feel good because you're making a difference in those patients' lives, making them happy.
Wow, that's a great idea, Miss Hanson. That might have to be a project we might have to do one day, because that would be amazing to be able to do. So I'm wondering, I know you work at Children's Hospital, and that's one place that nurses might work. Can you tell us about different places that nurses might work?
Yeah, so there's adult hospitals. So like where your mommies and daddies would go if they're sick, there's hospitals like that take care of the older people, the adults. And then grandma and grandpas, when they get sick, there's special places for them, like nursing homes. I don't know if anybody knows any grandmas and grandpas in nursing homes, but that takes a special nurse to take care of grandmas and grandpas. And there's school nurses. I'm sure you guys have a really good school nurse there. And so that's another type of nurse. Some nurses even go to the homes of patients, and they take care of the patients at home, the people that aren't sick enough to go to the hospital, but they need someone to come check on them.
Wow. So a lot of different opportunities for nurses, a lot of different places they can be and be able to do that work. So, well, we sincerely appreciate you being here today. It has been wonderful to have this conversation and sharing all this great information and giving us a good idea of something we could do maybe as a service project to be able to make some cards for especially those kiddos, other kiddos that are in the hospital.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for being here and thank you for all the work that you do. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Miss
Thank you.
Hanson. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Have a
Bye.
good day.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, everyone. So we are going to go ahead and we are going to take a next break while we get our next person in, and we will get started at 10:30. Okay, we'll see you then. see. All right. Officer Forbes, are you there? Let's see. Oh, there we are. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, all right, let's check our sound. I think I can hear you okay. And then we've got about 3 minutes before students come. Do you want me to ask the questions or do you just want to talk? You may have to, I'll ask the questions, that's not a problem. And we'll just go down from there. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, so in about 2 minutes now, I will come back and we'll get started.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We are here with our Officer Bailey, who is here at Ackerman today as our SRO. Welcome, Officer Bailey.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, we're happy you're here. So let's start out with, how long have you been a police officer?
I have been a police officer for just a little over 2 years.
Exciting. And so what is your typical workday like as an officer?
So there is no typical workday. You don't really know what kind of calls you're going to receive that day. It could be anything from a barking dog or a neighbor dispute to a traffic accident, a fight, or even more violent crimes such as assaults or even homicide.
Okay, so you just kind of walk in every day and don't know what to expect.
Yes, ma'am.
Very much. Okay. So what do you like best or least about your job and why?
I would say what I like best is actually being able to make a difference to help people who are in a time of need of help. If you think about it, people call us when they're in the worst situations to look for help. So being able to provide them with that help is always a good thing. But it also is my least favorite part of the job because you see the violence, you see all the hate in the world and, you know, just people who are doing evil things to one another and you have to be there for it to witness it.
That's got to be very difficult sometimes. Yes. All right. And what led you to your current job? So you said you've been in this position for 2 years and a police officer. Kind of what led you there?
Prior to law enforcement, I used to investigate child abuse and neglect. So doing that, I would always forward my cases to the local law enforcement agency and hope that they would, you know, pick up and press charges for whatever the incident might have been. But sometimes that didn't always go as planned and they didn't look at it as serious or something in that nature. So I wanted to be able to take that step to hold people accountable for making negative actions.
Okay. So you kind of wanted to be able to get yourself in a position to be able to do even more than what you had been doing before.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll do that. Wonderful. And then what type of interest, abilities, or skills would a person have to be successful as an officer?
I would say the biggest thing is communication because you have to be able to communicate with all different types of people. And, you know, sometimes they're in they're frightened, they're scared, they're angry, they're happy, just whatever it may be, you have to learn how to talk with them in order to de-escalate the situation.
Mhm.
Other than that, I would just say report writing, your writing skills have to be pretty decent in order for, because sometimes your reports will go to prosecuting attorneys and they have to be able to, act like you have to write the report to where they could picture it like they were there. So
Mhm.
you kind of just have to be able to express yourself both verbally and writing it down as well.
Okay, so it's very important to be paying attention and writing when you're working on your writing in school and working on those communication skills. Very good. What type of education or training did you go through to become an officer?
So I had to go to police academy, which was a 6-month program, Monday through Friday, just kind of like it would for a regular school day. And we did that for 6 months. And then after that, you go through a field training program with your police department. And that's kind of it's where you're with another officer for about 4 months. And they kind of show you everything and you go through everything together so you're not by yourself. And then once you graduate from your field training program, then you're able to operate, the police vehicle by yourself, answer calls by yourself. But before that, you have to at least have a high school education. So it's important to make sure that you go through high school and you successfully graduate. And then some departments require you to have college credits and some don't. Kind of just depends on where you go.
Okay. And when you started with your job, do they assign you a mentor? Do you have somebody that you're working with that's kind of teaching the ropes as you go through?
Yes, ma'am. You have a field training officer. So that's like your officer that you're in the car with every day. They set you up for challenges and they will, you'll answer a call and they'll be like, oh, well, you're going to do this one. And I'm just going to kind of sit back and watch. So they make sure that, obviously that you're safe. They're not going to put you in a situation to where you could get hurt, but they want you to learn how to handle things by yourself. So you don't always have to have someone there with you.
Yeah, that's got to feel good for the tough job that you have to do every day to have someone there with you and supporting you.
Yes,
Very
ma'am.
nice. How did you know you wanted to be a police officer?
Like I said, I've always kind of worked in a career field that had dealt with the public. So it's more of just with the children's center I worked at doing child abuse and neglect. I always worked with law enforcement. Sometimes it would be very aggravating when you would have something that you were so passionate about and they kind of, oh, well, we don't really see it as a criminal thing, or we don't see what to do next. So actually being in that position and wanting to hold someone accountable for their actions made me want to go into law enforcement.
Sounds like you have a real passion too for children and wanting to protect them,
Yes, ma'am.
making sure people are protected. Yeah. What other types of jobs are there in law enforcement?
So you could work in a jail or a prison, something like that, as a corrections officer. There's jobs in law enforcement for those who wish to work in probation and parole. So kind of the aftermath of if someone gets in trouble, how to properly assess them and make sure that they're not going to get in trouble again. There's in the law enforcement, we work with, prosecuting attorneys and judges and everything to make sure that people are being held accountable for crimes that they're committing. There's a lot of different fields within law enforcement itself. We have canine officers, traffic officers, school resource officers. We have officers that just do ordinance violations and work on the roads. We have officers who answer calls for service, a detective bureau who, follows up with the more violent crimes and hope to find the suspects and solve the crimes. So there's a lot of different positions that you could do within law enforcement.
So can you maybe give us a little information on a couple of them? So what, like a school resource officer, kind of what is their job and their responsibilities?
So a school resource officer, their work day is they work with the schools, they work in the schools only. So they'll be there when school starts until school finishes. They assist with any problems that are going on in the school, as well as developing a bond with the students to hopefully help them through something they might be going through. So instead of just having an officer respond from the road who might not know the teachers or might not know the students, those students are able to work with someone on a daily basis that they feel more comfortable with.
Yeah, so they're working on building those relationships.
Yes, ma'am.
That school community. Wonderful. And you also talked about like a traffic officer. What do they do?
So we have a couple of traffic units at Florissant that they work on traffic enforcement, making sure that people are driving slow speeds through the neighborhoods, that they're abiding by traffic signals, stop signs, and stuff like that. They also work a lot of the accidents that occur, just to keep the roads safe and try to enforce the laws of the road to hopefully prevent accidents or with it about to be summertime, kids like to play outside, and just making sure that in subdivisions, people aren't just flying down the roads and, putting kiddos at risk for being injured.
Yeah, so making sure everybody's staying safe so that
Yes.
we can all go about our daily business and be safe while we're doing it. Very nice. Is there anything younger students can do now if they're interested in becoming a police officer?
Just make sure that they're attending school and that they are, doing their work, and when they have questions, asking. Because even though I've been an officer for 2 years, sometimes I still have questions about things, and you always have to make sure you ask those questions and just kind of follow the rules. It's important to make sure that you do have that education, because if you don't, then you're not going to have the ability to go into the police academy, because you at least have to have your high school education.
I think what you just said kind of sparked my interest a little bit, because you talked about that you've been in this position 2 years, but you're still learning, right? And that's like a lot of careers. When you go in, we don't just get done and we're in that job forever and we don't learn anymore. Do you get opportunities for more schooling, like our different professional developments to kind of help you to grow as a police officer?
Yes, ma'am. We have continued training that we have to do every year. So there's so many required courses that we have to take, as well as there's tons of courses that if they spark your interest or if it's something that you kind of want to personalize in, they allow you the ability to go to the police academy and get that continued education for those courses. And we have to keep up with all of our regulations, making sure that we have all the hours we need for our communication, for our firearms, for all of our defensive tactics, and all those different things. So it's always it's a learning process. You learn something new, laws change, rules change. There's different techniques that are altered. And so you have to stay up to date with everything.
Oh, that's great. That's great to share, because that's so true in all of these different fields that we're talking about today, that there is continuously, we're trying to improve ourselves and educate ourselves. So, and keeping up to date. So thank you for sharing that. That was wonderful. I'm trying to think, is there anything else you would like to share with us today?
I think we might have covered everything.
Yeah, you've done a great job. We really sincerely appreciate you being here today, Officer Bailey, and all the great information you have shared with us. And we're excited that you're here at Ackerman and we can walk by and wave and say hello to you. So thank you again. We really appreciate it. And thank you. And for everybody else, we will be back at 10:50 with our next presenter. Thank you, Officer Bailey.
Bye.
Bye. Hi, Alexa.
Hello.
Oh, there you are. Hi. So welcome. We have about 5 minutes before we start. And so I just wanted to ask you, you have your answers for like how you want, what you want to say prepared, or would you like me to ask the questions? What would work best for you?
So I do have my the questions that were sent. I prepared what I was going to say to each question.
Oh, wonderful. So if you want to do
So-
that, and then at the end, I might just add a couple little easy ones on there, if that's okay? Does that work
Okay.
all right? Okay,
Yeah, that sounds
perfect.
good.
So we'll get started in about 4 minutes. We're live streaming now to everybody. So the students, everybody will be back in focus in about 4 minutes, and
Okay.
we'll just go from there. All right?
Thank you so much.
Good to have you. Thank you. We'll see you in
Thank
just a minute.
you.
All right, welcome back, everyone. So we are very excited for Alexa Carroll to be here today. She actually went to North Tech, so we're very excited to learn about Miss Carroll and her education and her work that she does now with Special School District. So welcome, Ms. Carroll.
Hi, thank you. Hello, my name is Alexa Carroll, and I am a network engineer here for Special School District. So I work with computers and I work in the information technology field or the IT field. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is how long I've been working with computers. So it's actually been about 4 years now. As far as 2 years, I've been learning about IT, and these past 2 years, I've been working in the industry. So my journey first began in for the computer field in my junior year of high school when I was in the 11th grade. I went to North Technical High School during my junior and senior year, and that's when I learned more about IT. And North Tech offers programs to students in high school so that they can learn a trade and learn about how to work in the career that they're interested in, even before graduation. So that was a very fun time. And so I chose to um, enroll in a program called Cisco Networking that dealt with computers. So just to give a background of what Cisco Networking is, computer networking means that you learn how computers communicate with each other. So kind of like we're doing now. I'm on my laptop here over Zoom, and then you guys are tuning in at different areas when we're miles away, but we're still able to communicate with each other in real time. So it's very interesting in learning the background of how that's able to happen. So at first, when I first enrolled in Cisco networking, I didn't know much at all about it, and I didn't know what networking was. But after my hard work and taking my classes seriously, I was able to become the top of my class and catch on pretty quickly. Now, during the summer between my junior and senior year of high school, I had the opportunity to work as a summer intern. Now, an intern is someone who works on a real job, and their job gives them training on what they went to school for. So, for example, since I took up computers, my job consisted of updating computers, answering phone calls for teachers when they needed their password reset or if they were having trouble with their computer. So, I was able to get a taste of what it was like to work in the real world during that summer program. And that helped me later on because after I graduated high school, I was able to get hired on to work there regularly. So all of that, once again, was due to hard work and um, making sure that, you know, keep up in your classes and just do your best. So ever since I've been working for Special School District, I was able to get trained in other positions. So now I'm being trained as a network engineer. And so as a network engineer, I help to keep the communication between the devices going. So if there is a problem, and say if your computer or the computers in your classroom are having trouble connecting to the internet, or even if it's the whole building, I'm the person or one of the people who investigates the issue and works hard to get that issue resolved. As a typical workday, so when I first come in the workday, I usually check to see if there's any alerts or say if there's any phone calls coming in saying that, hey, this building, computers at this building can't connect to the internet, we need help. So if that does happen, then I would have to work with my team to help resolve that issue. But on other days, say if the network is fine, everyone's connecting well, everyone can access the internet, then I do have tickets that get assigned. So a ticket is when, say, a teacher, they need help with an computer issue that deals with what I do for my job, then the ticket will get assigned to me and I'll take care of that task. And once that task is done, I will close the ticket, move on to the next task. So that's a little bit about what I do day to day. So, what I like best about my job, I love how it's very interesting. And like I said before, just learning how computers work and how we're able to communicate, how, someone from, let's say, California can speak to someone across the world, at the same time, or play video games online at the same time, and just the science behind that. So it's very interesting, and technology is constantly growing. So you're never getting bored, you're constantly learning more and more. So that's pretty interesting and fun. And even being able to just work with computers for a job. So as far as what I may not like as much, this isn't a total downside, but sometimes if there are a lot of issues happening at once, say if the one building, like all of their computers can't connect to the internet, and all of this is happening at once, it can be a lot of pressure to try to resolve that issue in as short of a time of as possible. But at the same time, thankfully, we have a good team, and so we all put our heads together to get the job done. So the payoff is great. Now, what led for me to choose IT? So growing up, I always was on the computer, whether it was games or, watching videos. And I just had like a love for computers. It was a big part of my life. So when it came to choosing a career, once I got older, I wanted to choose something that I not only liked doing, but also that I was familiar with. So that was one of the reasons. And also in school, I was always good at math and science. So those are my strengths. So computer networking, it kind of includes both of those subjects. So I just decided to try it out, and it's working out great. So just like as a piece of advice for all of the students watching this live stream, I just encourage you to, when choosing a career, choose something that is the best fit for you personally, instead of choosing something or a career because you have a friend who likes a certain career, or um, you know instead of choosing something just because it's easy but you don't like it. Just choose something that you really like and you enjoy and that you're good at, and that way once you do work, it doesn't really feel like work, you're having fun. So that's just a little piece of advice, just whatever works best for you personally. um, Now I'm going to briefly talk about what type of interests, abilities, and skills someone would need to be successful when working in IT and with computers. The first skill or interest I'm going to talk about is loving to learn new things. So, with IT and with computers, technology is constantly growing and improving each and every year. There's always new devices and a new way of doing things. So, being able to keep up with the new technology is very helpful. And that's how you're going to be successful. Um, and just like having a love for that as well, just learning new things. And also, I would say working with others, collaborating with the people you work with, and sharing your ideas. That's very helpful because you can really learn a lot from who you work with. And a lot of times, sometimes two people are better than one when it comes to figuring out a problem. So, it's very helpful just to be able to get along with others. And of course, I would also say having working, a hard work ethic and being a hardworking person, and just doing what you can to get the job done and not being afraid to ask questions if you need help. So those are very big, you know, skills and that someone would really need to be successful. As far as the education and training, so there's not one way that you can be successful in IT. There's so many different ways. So for example, I would say it would of course be good to have a high school diploma and graduating high school, because a lot of jobs, a high school diploma or equivalent is the minimum requirement. So stay in school. But so also with IT, some people teach themselves how to work with computers. There's so much free material that you can take advantage of online, whether it's videos or different practice courses, and you can teach yourself and practice on the computers that you have at home. Or you can go the route that I took. I went to a high school that taught the program, and that way I received my training there. And so I took that course, and then at the end of the class that I took, there was a test that we had to take. And once we passed that test, we got a certificate. And we used that certificate to, get a job. It's almost in a way similar to a college degree, but you don't need to go to college. So that's just another way of for education, getting certified. And the third way, you can always go to college and get your training there. So if you earn a degree in information technology, that's also a good option. But college in this field isn't really required. So you can really be successful without a college degree with IT. It just depends on your skills and how and your hard work. So being able to uh, get the job done, and those different skills I talked about earlier, working with others. So that will really determine how successful you are. And lastly, let's see. Also, I did want to mention that there are many different areas in IT. So I personally do networking, but there's so many different areas in IT that you can choose. So for example, briefly, so I used to do desktop support. So with desktop support, I learned how to fix computers. So say if a computer had a broken screen, I learned how to take the computer apart, replace the screen, put it back together. It was very fun. So you can learn how to fix computers. You can learn cybersecurity. Now, cybersecurity is when you are responsible or you work for a company and you get to stop hackers from hacking into the company's network or into their computers. So it's very cool. And also programming. So you can learn how to create or build apps or websites from scratch using code. So many different areas. And especially here in St. Louis, there's so many jobs that are waiting to be filled in IT. So yeah, it's one of the most needed fields. So yeah, and just as a quick piece of advice that I like to give to students, I like to bring up the example of Dr. Seuss. So, did you know that Dr. Seuss, when he submitted his first book to 27 different publishers, all of them rejected it? So, he would have needed to have his book accepted by at least one publisher for it to be at libraries, at bookstores. But he submitted to 27 different publishers, all of them rejected it. So, as he was walking home, about to give up on his dreams, he happened to run into an old classmate who helped him find a publisher. So, then Dr. Seuss went on to become a legendary children's author, and we all most likely read some of his books like The Cat in the Hat, Green Eggs and Ham, and his books have sold over 600 million copies. So, just from that example alone, sometimes when we have goals or dreams we want to reach, it may not be easy. We may go through times where it's hard, but as long as you keep trying and if you don't give up, then you will be successful. So just keep up the good work, everyone.
That was amazing, Miss Carol. Thank you so much. We had a couple questions and you just kept answering everything we had.
Oh, really?
You did an
Thank you.
amazing job. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your career today. That was just invaluable information. And we really, really appreciate having you here today. Thank you so much and
Thank
have a
you.
good rest of your day.
You too.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. So we have one more presentation that will start in 5 minutes. So we will be back at 11:10. Thank you. Hi. Hi, Miss Tapley. How are you? Oh, you're muted. You got to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Wonderful. So we have about 1 more minute and we'll have we'll be back. I mean, we're live streaming now, but I told everybody, oh, now it's 11:10. So before we get started, I just want to ask you, do you want me just to ask you the questions and we'll just kind of have a conversation?
It's whatever you like to do. I'm open.
Okay, well, I'll just start asking you the questions and you just talk. How's that?
Okay.
All right, so everyone, welcome back to our final presenter today. We have Ms. Ebony Tapley from Great Clips. Welcome, Ms. Tapley. I'm loving your energy already, Ms. Tapley.
Thank you. Good morning.
So what we're gonna do is we're live streaming, so I'll just ask you the questions and we'll just have a conversation. And then and we'll be done in about 15 minutes. So
Okay.
wonderful. So Ms. Tapley, how long have you been in your position? And can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yes, ma'am. So I've been with the company Great Clips for 7 years as of April 25th. I also teach for Great Clips Corporate. I've been doing that for 3 years. And then I work at another salon, and I just finished a contract with the behavioral autism home of Great Circle. So I'm a little busy. I have my hands everywhere. With Great Clips, of course, it's a cutting place. That's what we're known for. For the Great Clips Corporate, I teach from Missouri to Illinois, from all the cosmetology schools. We teach about Great Clips. We teach different cutting class. Great Clips also have their own training center where I host cutting classes to take the students out of school, put them in a different environment, take them out their element, make them feel more in a salon base. And I teach classes there as well. Other salon, I'm just doing everything that has to do with hair. I do that part-time. And then Great Circle, I was going to the school. I had a classroom where I would cut the kids' hair at the school. I would pull from the different cottages because it was hard for them to take them out due to their issues that they have. So I was doing that 2 Wednesdays out the month. So I go to the school and cut the kids' hair, and I've been doing that for 2 years. I did it up until they closed.
Yeah. Well, you sound like you are very busy. You are everywhere. That's wonderful.
Yes. In this industry, you can go so far with it.
Yes, wonderful. Well, what's a typical workday look like for you? I know you're kind of all over. But can you give us kind of an idea of what a typical workday is like?
So a typical work day here at Great Clips, you come in 15, 20 minutes early to, sanitize, clean everything, make sure you have everything ready to go for the day. Normally my day is extremely busy. We open up at 9. I'm normally here from about 9 to 2. My days are very busy, but you make sure everything is pretty much in order, from having your combs, your brushes, having your clippers, your clipper guards, making sure you have your shears, making sure you have your product, what products you think you want to use for the day, knowing with the haircut from the men, the women, or the children. You also have to check your customer out. So you're dealing with money and everything. You have to keep up with your coupons, your receipts. At the end of the shift, you have to close out your day, make sure you staple everything together, make sure everything is in order, clean up, of course, and see you tomorrow.
So it's a lot bigger than just cutting hair. There's a business component to it also that you spoke about, with having to make sure the money is in order and everything's together. So
yes, ma'am.
That's great. So what do you like best or least about your job?
What I like best about my job is the customers, because I feel like I'm a hair therapist at this point. You meet different people from all walks of life. You don't know how you can change someone's life just by doing a haircut. You never know what no one is going through. Them just coming to sit in my chair is a comfort zone, to talk to them about whatever's going on in life, making them feel good, making them leave with a smile. I love my job. I do. Even from working here at Great Clips and also working at the other salon, I have gained a lot of friends just by cutting hair. It's just the customer service that you give. I feel if you give good customer service, you get it back. I love the people. That's what makes me do it.
And I would assume with your good customer service, you get those repeat clients, and that's how you build your business and you get everybody coming back in. So
yes, ma'am. And like the least thing I could say is just like being a stylist at Great Clips, the store is open 7 days a week. You don't necessarily work 7 days a week, but sometimes you have long days. You work the weekend. We're open on the weekend as well. The hours are shorter, but still, sometimes you want to be off and enjoying the weather. It's nice outside and things like that. But I mean, that's the only thing I can say least about it. But I enjoy everything.
Yeah. Oh, it's something for our students to know that if you were to get a job in cosmetology, you may most likely be working on weekends or evenings to be able to accommodate your customers.
Yes.
Very nice. Thank you. What led you to your current career? What kind of brought you here?
Well, I always like doing hair, being stylish. My aunt had her own barbershop and beauty shop. So I grew up in that type of environment. I got to see the best of both worlds. Even when I was in school, I would do my friend's hair. In high school, I would do my friend's hair. Even in college, before I went to cosmetology school, it was a side job that I had, even though I did go to school. I also had worked at a fast food restaurant. I worked at White Castles in high school up into college, but I always done hair on the side. I always just love to do hair. So I went to Paul Mitchell for cosmetology school. And that's when I got to expand more, learn more from different cuts to colors to different textures of hair. Also, it's science, behind it with the different chemicals, even working with someone that may have high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, different things like that. It's not just all, cutting hair. It's a lot of science behind it, dealing with the body.
Yes, very much. And it sounds like you have such a passion for your job, which is one of those things we should have when we go to work, is you go for those careers that we have some passion behind, something that excites us. So
yes, it gets draining, but having the customers and things like that, it make you like, this is why I chose this job. This is why I want to do this job. You guys make my job easy. I can be down and I can get just this one person to brighten up my day, and it will change my whole day. You never know who you help just by cutting hair.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So you talked about the science. You really have to use science in your field. What about math, reading, writing, all of those kind of academic skills? How do you use those in your job?
So with math, we do use math because you have to know how to count money. Money is a big role in this industry, especially cash. So at Great Clips, we have a debit card where our credit card tips go on there at night, but you have to keep your sheet when you print out so you know what you did, who paid it to you, what ticket it go through. Your cash is your cash, but I feel with cash, you still have to manage your money because it's freelance. It's just, it's yours. You can do whatever you want, but I always personally try to save my cash. I try to put it in the bank, so I won't spend it. Like the more cash you have, trust me, the more you will spend. Now with reading, you have to know how to read because you have to learn how to read clip notes, how they want their hair cut, if they have any type of hair issue, hair loss, hair disease. You also have to know how to read for as products. I had a young lady that was allergic to peanuts, allergic to seaweed, soyweed fish, there was something new to me. You have to know different products, what's in there. You want things to be like ammonia free, sulfate free. So yes, with science, reading, and math, it does play a big role in cosmetology. It's something that you cannot skip over at all.
That's good to know. That's very important because that's what our students are working on now, is all those skills and learning about it. Very good. What type of interests, abilities, and skills would help a person be successful in your field?
Well, in my field, I feel you have to be a people person. Customer service, even if you shy coming into this field, I feel by within a few months or so, you will open up. You have to be open to constructive criticism because you may be a great cutter in a salon, but you may get someone that, you know, it may be a challenge for you and you never had a challenge. You know, you have to be able to accept that and be able to correct it if possible. So in this industry, you got to come in with an open mind, but you also have to be creative, because we have people that don't know what to do with their hair, or I've been wearing this look for the last 10 years. What do you recommend? You should be able to pull up a picture and say, well, would you like this? Would you like to try this? It's not going to always be yes. I say if you get 9 no's, you're going to get 1 yes 9 times out of 10. So I feel you have to be kind of strong, but if not, this industry will build you up to be strong, because you have to own it. Like I tell my stylists, fake it till you make it. They don't know what you don't know. So you cannot have that fear on your face. You have to be strong. You have to be brave. You have to show, yes, I got this, even though you're probably thinking like, oh my God, how am I going to pull this off? And those end up being the best haircuts ever.
Wow, wonderful. So building up that confidence, right? Taking our time and doing that. That's awesome. What about, is there anything that younger students can start doing now if they're interested in a field of cosmetology?
Yes. So, you know, social media, internet is just took over our world, if you ask me. But you can learn a lot just being on lockdown with the pandemic. A lot of people YouTube how to cut their hair, trim their hair. They had to fend for themselves, their family and things. And a lot of people did a good job. I also did Zoom classes to help them. I'm like, okay, we got 30 minutes to cut your hair, so pay attention. Once the video goes up, it's done. But I mean, if you able to order like a mannequin head off of Amazon just to start off, is different type of hair texture mannequin heads that you can purchase. Even if you, I don't know if they still have magazines right now. We don't have like any magazines due to COVID, but looking at different magazines, even being on social media, following different type of stylists, different type of artists. You can even do classes. They have hands-on classes that you can take, you know, one-on-one classes. It's different things that you can try to learn. I learned just by watching. I learned by looking at different tutorials. I have also been to different cutting classes out of town. Even with Great Clips, they have different brands to come in, even with new products and things like that. And they teach us. So I'm still learning in this field. You can learn so much. It's never a dull moment. You always learn something new. You're never too old to learn something new. So just open your eyes, just sit back and watch. Even if you go to a salon and get your hair done, be a people watcher, and you learn a lot by watching. When I do host my classes, I have students that ask, can they record me? Can they take me home with them? Sure. Even my clients, when I put product in their hair, they be like, well, can I record you so I can go home and do that? Yes, take me home. But yes.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. And it is, we're constantly learning in our careers and knowing that we can't just stay where we're at. We got to keep learning and be flexible. That's great advice. So we have about a minute left. Is there any last words of advice you would like to give our students today?
I feel like the sky is the limit. Don't let no one tell you different. Don't let no one shoot your dream down. If you want to do it, if you want to pursue it, keep it in your heart. Keep going no matter what. Never give up.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Tapley. That is wonderful advice.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so our Ackerman and Litzsinger students, we are done with Career Day. And I want to just say thank you so much for being here today. We hope that you learned something about the careers that we went through and that you'll keep exploring. So have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye. Oh, wait. Don't do that. Let me turn the, wait a second, I gotta